All right, strap in, everyone, because we are going deep today
Oh, yeah.
into some pretty wild theories.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, we're talking about the origins of music, the oddities of language,
Okay.
and get this, the strategic use of rain for scoring dates.
Rain and romance.
Yeah, rain and
Right,
romance.
but I'm intrigued.
We've got a source that claims to connect all of these dots, and well, let's just say some of the claims are, well, a little out there.
I mean, that's kind of what we do here, though, right? Dive in at the unconventional.
Exactly, and this one is definitely unique.
What I find interesting is that the source just jumps right into these big questions like, where does music even come from?
Yeah.
You don't exactly see monkeys jamming in the jungle, right?
Right, and then to connect that to rain,
And romance, no less.
it's a lot.
It is. It's a unique take, for sure.
So let's start with that whole music origin mystery.
Okay.
The source throws out a few theories, like the idea that music just evolved from language, or maybe it's the other way around. Or maybe they both came from, like, some shared
A
ancestor.
common ancestor. Interesting.
Yeah, but then it gets even weirder.
Oh, does it? I mean, I thought common ancestor was pretty out there.
It is, but the source doesn't stop there.
Lay it on me.
They suggest this common ancestor could have been, get this, the language of God,
Whoa.
or aliens, or even our primate ancestors.
So we're talking angels humming melodies,
Yeah.
aliens jamming out on spaceships, monkeys chanting rhythmic grunts. This is getting wild.
I know, right? Starting to see why this source is considered a little controversial.
Definitely pushes the boundaries.
Yeah.
But even if we take those wilder claims with a grain of salt,
Sure.
I think it's still fascinating to think about why these ideas resonate with people.
Yeah.
Is it a longing for something beyond the ordinary?
Maybe.
Maybe it's a need to connect with the unknown, you know?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just acknowledging that there are things out there we can't quite explain or understand. But before we go full X-Files on this, let's bring it back down to earth.
Back to reality?
Yeah, and talk about the more concrete differences between music and language.
All right.
So the source makes these interesting points about how those two forms of communication, while often intertwined, have their own distinct functions.
Absolutely. One key difference that jumps out is the idea of directionality.
Directionality.
Yeah, so language is very direct. It's about conveying a specific message or instruction.
Makes sense.
Music, on the other hand, is much more open to interpretation. It evokes emotions and creates atmospheres without relying on literal meaning.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's
Yeah.
like the difference between like reading a recipe
Okay.
and listening to a song.
I like that analogy.
So the recipe tells you exactly what to do step by step,
Precisely.
but the song might make you feel happy or sad or nostalgic, but it doesn't give you a list of ingredients.
Exactly. And that difference in directionality, it also influences how repetition works.
Oh, interesting.
In language, like, repeating yourself usually means you're not getting your point across.
Right.
But in music, repetition can actually make the emotion more intense, more impactful.
Oh, I totally get that.
Like, think about the chorus of your favorite song.
Okay.
It gets more powerful each time it comes back around.
Yes. Like when that one line hits and you're like, yes, sing it again.
Exactly. It's like the repetition helps you connect with the emotion on a deeper level.
It does.
And this actually leads to a pretty wild analogy that the source makes.
Okay. What's that?
They compare language to binary code.
Like ones and zeros.
Exactly. And music, they compare to quantum entanglement.
Whoa, hold on. Quantum physics. I thought we were talking about rain and romance.
I know, right? It gets pretty trippy.
How does quantum entanglement even relate to music?
Well, they use this analogy to suggest that music taps into something beyond language. It's like saying music can express things that words just can't capture.
Okay, I can kind of see that. Music definitely has a way of reaching us on an emotional level that goes beyond just the lyrics, if there even are lyrics.
Right. It's more about the feeling, the vibe.
Yeah, the vibe.
But let's not get too carried away with the quantum metaphors.
Okay.
Remember, this source really likes to play with big ideas, and sometimes those ideas stretch the limits of logic a bit.
True. But speaking of stretching the limits of logic, we can't ignore the source's take on rain and romantic success.
Ah, yes, rain and romance.
How did we get here? From the mysteries of music to rain-fueled dating strategies. I need to hear more about this.
Well, the source argues that rain creates this perfect condition for sparking romantic connections.
Really? What's so romantic about a downpour?
Well, according to the source, rain triggers these physiological responses in us, you know?
Like what?
The lower air pressure can actually increase your heart rate.
Hmm.
And then there's that primal fear associated with rain.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it can signify hardship, danger, even. Yeah. And this combination, it creates this heightened emotional state.
So basically, rain just, like, puts us on edge.
In a way, yes, both physically and emotionally.
I guess I could see how that might be mistaken for butterflies in the stomach.
Exactly. And that's where the suspension bridge effect comes in.
So it's suspension bridge effect.
You know that study where people on a shaky bridge were more attracted to each other?
Oh, right. They mistook their fear for attraction.
Exactly. The source suggests that the heightened physical and emotional state we experience in the rain, we can misattribute that to romantic attraction.
So are we supposed to, like, find the nearest rickety bridge in a thunderstorm?
Well, maybe not that extreme.
Okay.
But the source does suggest that rain fosters what they call a shelter community mentality.
Shelter community.
Yeah, so people seeking refuge together during a downpour, they naturally feel a sense of increased trust and intimacy.
Oh, like a shared experience brings people closer.
That's the idea.
I can see how that could create a bond, especially if you're already interested in someone.
Precisely. And the source actually gives some specific tips.
Oh, does? Like what?
On how to use this rain for romantic gain, like sharing an umbrella.
Okay.
Or choosing a date setting that keeps that heightened awareness going.
Wow, this source really goes all in on this whole rain romance connection.
To do?
Like a rom-com waiting to happen.
It is a bit like that.
But before I start planning my next rainy day date, I'm curious about the potential downsides.
Oh, yeah?
Surely there's got to be a flip side to this rain-induced emotional roller coaster.
You're absolutely right. The source does warn about the potential for exploitation related to rain's psychological effects.
Okay, now things are getting serious.
It is something to consider.
What kind of exploitation are we talking about here? Like rainy day heartbreak?
Well, think about it. When you're feeling on edge, you know, maybe a little more vulnerable than usual, you might be more susceptible to scams or pressure tactics.
Oh, that's a good point.
If someone's already anxious because of the weather,
yeah,
they might be an easier target for manipulation.
That makes sense.
And it's not just, you know, financial scams.
Oh.
The source even shares a story about using the rain to their advantage on a first date.
Really?
Admitting it could be seen as ethically, well, questionable.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
It seems like rain can create these opportunities for genuine connection.
Definitely.
But it's important to be aware of the potential for manipulation, too.
Absolutely. It's all about understanding how our environment, even something as seemingly mundane as rain, can influence our emotions and our behavior.
Right.
And maybe more importantly, how other people might try to use that to their advantage.
This is already such a fascinating deep dive.
It is, isn't it?
I've covered everything from the mysteries of music's origins to the surprising connection between rain and romance.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
I know. We've got so much more to unpack.
I'm ready when you are.
Let's take a moment to process everything we've learned so far. And when we come back, we'll delve even deeper into these intriguing claims.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive, you know, into this bizarre world of music, language, and rainy day romance.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. It is.
But before we took a moment to reflect, we were talking about how rain, it can be like a double-edged sword, amplifying our emotions, making us vulnerable.
To both genuine connection and unfortunately to manipulation.
Right. And it's wild how the source presents this knowledge almost like a secret weapon or something.
Right, like some hidden truth that only musicians and con artists are in on.
Exactly, and it makes you wonder, like, what other subtle environmental influences are out there shaping our perceptions and reactions without us even realizing it?
It's a fascinating thought. Like, we're all living in this giant psychological experiment, and we're not even aware of all the variables being tested, right?
Right.
And the source's claim about rain, boosting learning efficiency, is another example of this.
Oh, really? Tell me more about that.
Apparently, there are studies that suggest that rainy days can actually improve memory and focus, leading to better academic performance.
So, all those years I spent staring out the window on rainy days, wishing I was outside.
Yeah.
Maybe I was actually priming my brain for intellectual greatness.
Maybe so, maybe so. The source doesn't really go into detail about the specific studies, but it's an intriguing idea.
It is, although, honestly, sometimes rain just makes me want to curl up with a good book.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Not exactly crack open a textbook, you know?
I hear you. And the source actually acknowledges that rain can also induce drowsiness,
Oh.
especially if that heightened emotional state isn't channeled into some kind of outlet,
Like what?
like social interaction or creative expression, something like that.
So rain can either energize us or make us sleepy, depending on the context.
Exactly. It's like a meteorological mood ring.
I like that.
You never know what you're going to get.
Right. It's unpredictable.
And this unpredictability brings us back to the source's, central theme here.
Which is?
The interconnectedness of seemingly unrelated phenomena.
Okay.
Music, language, rain, human emotions, even scams.
Mm-hmm.
They're all woven together in this intricate tapestry of experience.
It's a lot to wrap your head around,
It is.
but it's a good reminder that the world is full of hidden connections.
And unexpected influences, yeah.
And the more we pay attention, the more we realize, honestly, how little we actually know.
It's humbling, isn't it?
It is. But I have to admit, I'm still stuck on those out there theories about the origins of music.
The angels, the aliens.
Yeah. It's too good to ignore.
I know. It definitely captures the imagination.
It does.
And while there's no scientific basis for those claims, I think the source uses them to highlight the mystery surrounding music's origins.
Okay.
And its power, its power to transcend cultural boundaries, to evoke such deep emotions. It's like music allows us to glimpse a reality beyond our everyday understanding.
A glimpse into a different reality.
Yeah.
I like that. And it kind of connects with the source's suggestion that musicians are more likely to see UFOs.
Oh, right.
Like they're tuned into this frequency that most of us are oblivious to.
Yeah, it's a playful idea, but it speaks to that sense of music being a form of communication that operates on a different level,
I do.
And while the source, kind of dismisses the possibility of music originating from primate communication,
Right.
I find it interesting to consider the complex vocalizations and rhythmic patterns found in the animal kingdom.
It's true. Some birds have incredible songs.
Exactly. So perhaps there's a deeper evolutionary connection there than we realize.
That's a good point. We shouldn't discount any possibility, especially when it comes to something as mysterious and multifaceted as music.
Agreed.
But even if we set aside the extraterrestrial theories,
All
the
right.
source's exploration of music's origins,
Yeah.
it really makes you wonder if it really is a language of sorts, a way of expressing emotions and ideas that words just can't capture.
That's a fascinating question.
It is.
And if music is a language, what does that say about us, as humans?
What do you mean?
That we've developed this complex form of communication that goes beyond the purely practical, the purely informational. Does it speak to a need for connection, for transcendence, for something more than just surviving?
Those are some deep questions.
They are.
It's almost like music is this language of the soul, a way of communicating emotions and experiences that are universal, regardless of language or culture.
I like that, the language of the soul.
But I have to say, I'm still a little skeptical about the whole rain romance connection.
Oh, yeah.
It seems a bit too neat, too convenient, like something out of a Hollywood movie,
I understand your skepticism. And it's important to remember that the source material, while entertaining and thought-provoking, shouldn't be taken as gospel truth. It's meant to challenge our assumptions and encourage us to think differently, not necessarily to provide definitive answers.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
After all, some of the most fascinating mysteries are the ones that remain unsolved.
True.
And maybe that's part of the allure of music, of language, and even of rain. They hold this certain magic that can't be fully explained or predicted.
That unpredictability keeps us engaged.
It does.
Keeps us coming back for more.
And speaking of coming back for more, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
But we're not done yet.
Not quite.
Let's take another quick moment to gather our thoughts.
Okay.
And when we return, we'll wrap things up with some final reflections on what we've learned.
Sounds good.
And explore the broader implications of these intriguing ideas.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into this truly bizarre source material.
It's been a wild ride for sure.
It has.
From those mind-boggling theories about the origins of music to the the somewhat questionable dating advice involving umbrellas, you know?
Yeah, this source has definitely given us a lot to think about
It has challenged our assumptions, that's for sure.
and expanded our perspective
Absolutely.
on how all of these seemingly unrelated concepts might actually be connected.
It's all connected, man.
Yeah, and I think one of those thought-provoking aspects for me is this idea that rain can act as an emotional amplifier,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
like intensifying our feelings, whether they're positive or negative.
Right, like it just turns the volume up on everything.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes you wonder, like, are we really as in control of our emotions as we think we are?
That's a great question, and I think that's a key takeaway here.
What's that?
This awareness that our environment, even something as commonplace as rain, can have this powerful influence on our inner world, you know?
Yeah.
I see that. And this raises some interesting ethical questions too.
Like what?
Well, for example, if we know that rain can make people more vulnerable to suggestion, should we be using that knowledge to our advantage?
Right, like that story the source told about using the rain to create a romantic atmosphere on a first date.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit cheeky, you know.
It is.
But it does make you think about where we draw the line between, setting the mood and outright manipulation.
Right, like how far is too far?
It's a slippery slope for sure.
It is.
And I think it highlights the importance of being mindful of how our actions might affect others, especially when we're aware of these subtle environmental influences.
So not about controlling the rain,
Right.
but about understanding its potential impact
Exactly.
and using that knowledge responsibly.
It's like a superpower that comes with great responsibility.
I like that.
Right.
And this awareness, it extends beyond rain, right? To all aspects of our environment.
Everything, yeah.
If we're more attuned to those subtle cues and influences around us, we can navigate our social interactions and decision making with greater clarity.
And intention.
Yeah, and intention.
Being more deliberate about our choices.
Yeah, it's like becoming a master of our own internal weather patterns,
Oh, I like that.
learning to recognize the signs of an approaching emotional storm and taking steps to weather it gracefully.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thanks.
It reminds us that while we may not be able to control all of the external forces that shape our experiences, we can cultivate a deeper understanding of ourselves and how we respond to those forces.
So what have we learned from this deep dive into this bizarre world of music, language, and rain-fueled romance? What's the big takeaway for you?
That's a good question. I think the biggest takeaway for me is this realization that everything is connected.
Connected.
Yeah, connected in ways that we might not expect.
I agree. It's a reminder to stay curious, to question our assumptions, and to be open to the possibility that even the most outlandish ideas might have some truth to them.
Exactly, keep an open mind.
And always have an umbrella handy.
Well,
Right?
absolutely. You never know when a sudden downpour might lead to a chance encounter or a moment of inspiration or even a deep dive like this one.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the rain-soaked mysteries of music, language, and this strange and wonderful world we inhabit.
Keep exploring.
Until next time, keep those minds open and those umbrellas close in hand.